Mostly inspired by how wrong I felt like Fender got it with their Acoustasonic. About 4 years ago, I started experimenting with making my own version of a hybrid acoustic electric guitar. And so I've had a few years of messing around with them. I've hung on to most of them. I've let a few of them go. And here we are. I got a whole bunch of them here behind me. We're going to talk about today and talk about the future of this design. What I got right, what I got wrong, what I want to change. Strap in. So these are all prototypes, and I've got quite a few of them now, and before I start making a bunch more prototypes, I want to get rid of some of these, and I'm going to let them go really inexpensively, so stick around to the end of the video to learn about that. First, let me briefly remind you of the mission of these instruments. So I spent most of my music career as a bassist, and a lot of the artists I worked with, most of them, were people playing acoustic guitars, and we did most of our work live. And I watched all of these acoustic guitar guys and girls, singer-songwriter types, struggle with their acoustic guitars in live situations. There was, either like feedback issues or just getting a good natural acoustic sound, and also just the rigors of being on the road, the weather changes, the hot, the cold, staying in the van overnight. And I think a big reason for that is that most of these acoustic guitars are really just that. They're acoustic guitars that then, as an afterthought, companies started putting electronics into to make it so they could amplify them loud. Now, Fender, to their credit, came out with this Acoustasonic thing a bunch of years back, and they were trying to sort of reinvent that wheel. I can't speak for what they were thinking, but to me, they got it all wrong. What they made was an electric guitar with an acoustic properties to it, and I think you still need to make it an acoustic guitar, but give it some of these electric guitar properties. This is what I've been trying to build. I'm not trying to build some, Cocobolo Sitka Spruce Jumbo Dreadnought for the studio you wield a $10,000 microphone in front of and you hear all these subtle characteristics. I'm trying to make the guitar that you can spill beer on and stays in tune, that can stay in the van overnight and still work the next day. They need to still look and feel and sound like acoustic guitars on their own, unplugged. You gotta be able to sit on the couch with them, but they also need to have this ability to, like change the strings quickly, amplify them in different ways. You want to be able to, adjust the neck and the action and all this stuff that most acoustic guitars can't do. I started sort of just solving some of the problems at the very beginning, and as luck would have it, the very first guitar I made in this platform, I gave to a local musician. He's been out using it for a little while now, so let's cut to an interview with Pete. I brought in Pete from the Sawtells as the local music hero of mine, and he's been playing Z number 1 for a little over a year now, and just sort of road testing it and let me know how it works out. So how's it working out?
It works out great. It's a nice cross between an electric and acoustic guitar. I always, in the back of my mind, always have this crisis situation for a gig where, like, there's no electricity somehow.
Oh, yeah, like worried.
Right. And at least with this and the drum kit and our voices, we could get through the gig. If, like, the PA dies or all the electricity on Earth goes out, we could still finish the gig.
This is what keeps you up at night.
Yeah, it does. It does. So I like the magnetic pickup, and it's just a nice all-around guitar. It does everything I needed to do. Also, I'm 5'3", so I'm not a big guy, so it fits nice on my frame. It actually fits on my frame more like a classical guitar. It is 12 frets to the body with the cutaway, but it does kind of seem more compact this way, which is good for me.
Yeah. And so you do mostly alternate tunings?
I do all alternate tunings, yeah. And the reason for that is because the Sawtells is a duo. It allows me to hit any of the 6 strings and arpeggiate at random at any time. So the tunings are constructed where I can play any of the 6 strings in any position, in any chord, at any time in a song, and it gives it a bigger, more open feel.
Right, so you make more sound, and
yes.
then if the power goes out, you can still make more sound.
Yeah, exactly.
And I see that you upgraded the pins there to a brass pin.
Yeah, I kept breaking the plastic ones. I don't know if it's, I'm just like a beast trying to get them out, or I'm impatient or whatever, but it's fine. It hasn't been a problem. And these are also... I tend to use heavier strings on like solid body electric guitars, but these are just electric 10s with an unwound third, and it works great.
Yeah.
This is what this guitar feels good with.
Cool. Thanks for coming in and
sure.
Showing that off.
My pleasure.
And while you're here, if you don't mind, I have a second, like a folder of little just audio demos I'm doing of all these instruments. Do you mind just playing for a minute, like a song?
No.
Thanks.
Friction, no, can't control what's changes the outcome from big to amazing. weak to amazing.
Thanks, Pete. Pete was kind enough to play a song for me while he was here, and I put that in a playlist with a bunch of audio examples of all of these guitars. There's a link in the description, probably on the screen here, so you can hear each one of these guitars and sort of see some of their features and stuff. If I put it all in this video, it'd be too long. But so go check out Pete playing a song. After making that guitar, I felt like it was successful enough to continue down this road, so I made 2 more. And there's, of course, a whole video playlist of this whole series spanning 4 years that you can go watch all of these videos that I made. There's like a dozen of them or something, if you want to see a little bit more in depth. But so of those 2 I made, one of them I gave away or sold, I can't remember, and one of them I kind of kept as my guitar for a while, and actually did a live radio show with it that I filmed, and you can watch that whole show here. You can hear me singing and playing that guitar. It worked great. So notably on the first one, I did not put any piezo because I don't like piezos, but I quickly found that it was missing because the piezo acoustic sound has become such a part of that acoustic guitar sound. I thought that that would be something that other musicians would miss. I personally would probably lean towards the magnet more, but I know a lot of people would want to use the piezo or maybe a mixture of both. And so that was the big revelation in sort of phase 2 of this design. So there's a piezo, there's a magnet, you can use them separate or together. And one of the problems that was becoming apparent to me in my quest to do this using, reclaimed materials and using my favorite reclaimed material, closet doors. Not all closet doors are created equally, and most of them are like a sort of flaky Luan plywood, which is what I'm mostly using because it's the sort of the worst and the most readily accessible type of hollow core door you can reclaim. And so because it's so sort of flaky, I was having issues, in the bending areas of having a crack and splinter and stuff. So I thought paint might be a way to sort of help hide some of that, but I still want to show that it's wood, so I only painted the sides and stuff. And so that's all like a big part of this process is just, obviously I could go out and buy material and use better material, but, I'm on this mission. As I mentioned already, I'm a bass player, and I love acoustic bass guitars, even though most of them kind of suck. But I put a video out a bunch of years ago about my personal relationship to these instruments. Love them. And so, of course, I wanted to try my hand at those. So the first one I made, I put a sort of short scale 30-inch neck on it. It was a neck design I had from another instrument build that I modified. And I did like a floating archtop bridge and tailpiece to it, which I love and hate. Probably hate a little more. But a couple years ago, I did a gig with it, and it was like a room full of musicians, and everybody was like just glazing me over the sound of this thing because it was so unique and sort of vintagey, but then had this whole other characteristic to it. It worked out really good. I really had a lot of fun playing that, and I loved that bass so much that I decided to try another one, and so I made a 32-inch scale, which I think works better on the bass, the body, and the size and stuff. But with this one, I doubled up the top to make it a little bit stronger, and I made a more traditional acoustic guitar style bridge, so it is not that horrible archtop thing. And the strings on this one, you string it through the inside, which started fueling some ideas for other developments for the guitars as well. This bass I love. This is like kind of my main bass now. It's the one that I leave in the living room and play all the time. But on the basses, I didn't bother putting piezos, just magnets, because piezo basses. I was pretty inspired by the low-end sound quality I was getting from these closet doors and from this smaller body, this bolt-on neck and stuff, and so I thought it'd be fun to try putting something in between, and I made a Baritone acoustic guitar, which was a lot of fun, but I made this huge mistake on this one. I don't know how I did it, but when I was designing the fingerboard, I messed up and I put the 12th fret marker on the 13th fret, so everything from there on is wrong. So then I went in and I hand drilled in some 12 markers, but and also wanted to push the boundaries a little more of this design. I made a nylon string guitar, which with no truss rod, and but it was still a bolt-on neck and stuff. The first one I made had this extra cutaway, and I actually sold that one off a little while ago. And then I made another one recently, still following that, which I really like. I think it's a lot of fun to play this guitar. It's not like a classical guitar, and even the design is more hybrid. Like the neck is not as wide, it's got a little bit of a radius to it. But it's a cool nylon guitar for steel string guys that want to do something that sounds different, you know? And And I'd got my hands on some nicer closet doors of like a nicer quality, and so I thought I'd make a couple guitars that were just like sort of at the point I was at in the development of them, just straight up like pretty and ready to go. Pretty much dead on exactly what I'm looking for. You know, it's the furthest from like prototype of all of them. And then I made another one that was a thin line because a customer requested a thin line one, so I made this one a sort of practice for him. And it came out sounding surprisingly more acousticy than I expected. It's only like about less than 2 inches thick. And so both of those are going to be up for auction. We'll talk about that later. And the only thing that's missing on those, I think, for the future is the bridge design. So we'll talk about that next. Yeah, so those two pretty ones, you can see they still have a traditional acoustic guitar design with the pins that pop in, which I wanted to get away from. Now on this Baritone, you'll see there are no pins. And so what I did is I actually very crudely cut a hole back here, and I designed this metal plate that goes inside. See that metal plate in there? You see, the idea is that, as live acoustic players know, if you break your string, you got to pop that little pin out, you got to find string, you got to put it in. You know, it's like this. So this is a way to eliminate some potential issues, to make it a little bit easier and faster to change your strings. Plus that provides a ground for your magnetic pickup, so all your strings are grounded and stuff, help with noise. All the things that acoustic guitar players struggle with. Now that one I put together crudely, so you would actually still need a screwdriver to do it, but you can see on these future versions, we'll talk about why there is no metal plate in this one in a second. What I did is I created this magnetic cavity. I felt like I solved the problem of strings and of weaknesses, and also the way the strings come up like that. You don't have to worry about the bridge being pulled and separated, which is a problem on a lot of acoustic guitars. It sort of helps with all of that. So I was pretty happy with everything that was going on with the bridge, but what I felt like it still was missing was intonation abilities and action height adjustments like electric guitar. So, simple solution. There it is. I put an electric guitar bridge on one, and that's why this one doesn't have a metal plate back here, because the whole thing's metal, and I have piezos in there, but what this does now is I don't have an onboard preamp on it. This piezo and this pickup are just wired like a normal electric guitar, but what I think happened with this one is now I'm starting to get into that where Fender went wrong, and it's starting to sound too much like an electric and lose some of those acoustic properties that I want here. Hey, you know what I'd love to hear in the comments? Your thoughts. What are you looking for in an acoustic electric guitar? What do you think I missed? What are you missing? What do you want your guitar to do or have that no one is making? Oh yeah, and in the middle of all this, I always have my little 0% wood guitar kind of concepts I want to try, and so I thought it'd be really cool to make an acoustic guitar with 0% wood, and I made one all out of acrylic. That guitar actually kind of works. So now with a few years of experimenting, I think I'm ready to just go back to the drawing board and take all this knowledge and sort of start over from scratch. But I need to make some room on my wall, and I need to raise a few bucks to buy some stuff to do it. So that's where hopefully you come in. I put a whole bunch of these guitars up for auction over on eBay. I just figured that'd be the easiest ways to do it. They all have zero reserve, and they all start at a pretty low price, basically just material costs. So they will sell. And it's a short run auction, and it is live right now. So if you're interested in owning one of these, now's your chance. Now, I did not put all of them up for auction. There's a couple that I just kind of want to hang on to for a little while longer at least. So if there's one that you're particularly interested in and you don't see it here, just drop me a line, DM me, and maybe we can work something out. Maybe I'll let it go, because I do need to make some room to keep moving on with this stuff. So the links are in the description below, and I do my best in all of the listings that are there to describe, because these are prototypes, describe what's, wrong with them, so to speak, what I would change. It's mostly fit and finish stuff. And so I'm also going to include with the guitars I'll make up some kind of certificate of authenticity type thing and sign it and put it with the guitar, just in case, I die and get famous after I'm dead or something, and then maybe it'll be worth something. Or not. Hey, thanks for coming along on this journey with me. I'm looking forward to getting into this a little bit more. I do need your help, so go check out those auctions. The links are in the description. That would really help me continue down this road a lot and give you the opportunity to have kind of a cool, one-of-a-kind guitar, if that's something you're interested in. I appreciate it. And also, yeah, tell me what you're looking for in the comments. I still read basically every comment I get. Sometimes I miss them just because they get missed, but I check every day. So I'll read it. All right. Be good.